If you're on the spiritual path, then you're going to hear a lot of people talking about awakening the Christ consciousness within you. You'll hear people say things like, I and my Father are one, or I am that I am, or God is everything, everywhere, all at once. But how many of us can actually say that we really understand on an experiential level what these sayings mean? Recently, I've had a deeply profound shift in my understanding of the saying, I and my Father are one. So in this video, I want to share that with you so that you too can deepen your understanding of this incredibly profound saying. But before I begin, if at any point you find that this information is helpful, then please like, share, subscribe, or comment so that more people have access to this information. And if what I'm saying is resonating with you and you're interested in working with me, then please feel free to reach out to me at the email provided in the description box below. The first self-realization technique that you learn on that path is the ability to concentrate, and it's called Hong Sa. And this technique in Sanskrit literally translates into I am. Hong means I am. Sa means he. So I am he. Now, this is exactly the same as what I was just saying a second ago about what Christ said. I and my Father are one. And this technique of Hong Sa is really deepening our awareness of this profound saying, I am he. I am God. So I've been practicing this twice a day for quite some time now, and it's never really meant that much to me. It's always felt like some sort of distant understanding, like there's something that's separating me from deeply understanding what that means. But recently, I was reading something that Yogananda said about one of the most powerful affirmations that you can affirm is, I and my Father are one. So I've also started incorporating this at the end of my meditation practice. And Yogananda has a very unique way of practicing affirmations. I've made a video about Yogananda's affirmations and how to go about the actual technique of affirming in his way, and I'll leave the link for that here. Now, what was interesting is that recently when I was doing this, I started to say this out loud, but instead of just saying, I and my Father are one, this new sentence just popped out of my mouth, which was, He is within me, and I am in him. Now, as I said this, I deeply felt what that meant, because that's another part of affirming, according to Yogananda, and a lot of people who practice affirmations. The key is to really feel what it is that you're affirming. So I, for the first time, really felt what that meant, to feel that God was within me. Not that God was something outside of me, but that he was within me, that he was me. And I cannot tell you how profound this was, how incredibly life-changing this was, because I've never really felt that for more than a few moments. But my reality has completely shifted now to knowing that what I am is God. Now, I do not want any of you watching this to misunderstand what I'm saying, because I am not saying that I alone am God. I am absolutely not saying that, because the ego would love that, wouldn't it? It would love to think that it's so special that it is God. But when you realize this, when you have this experience of knowing, really knowing on an experiential level that what is within you, what you are, is God, you realize that that is what everyone is. And I do mean everyone. It is in everyone. It is in everything. And it is the most beautiful thing that you can ever realize. Because when you realize this, when you really realize it, you just want to love everyone. Because how could you not love God? How could you not love everything that is God? And if everyone is God, then our work is to begin to see that everywhere, to see it in everything and everyone, and to recognize that, and to live that, to embody that so completely that the way that we live our life is one of unconditional love, is one of zero judgment about other. To look beyond the human form or any form and to see that there is divinity in everything. and that divinity is the same divinity that is in me, that is in you, that is in everything. So this is a very humbling experience, and it's so incredibly beautiful. It's this feeling of knowing that you are always taken care of, that really the illusion that we're living in, the delusion, I should say, that we are under, is that we're alone and that we're separate. But that is so far from the truth. So, so far from the truth. Because when you realize that God is within you, that you are God, that that's really your true nature, you have this feeling that it's all okay, that it's all okay, that no matter what happens, no matter what anyone says to you, you realize that that's just their human form talking. That's just them being deluded. That's them living in ignorance. That's them not realizing the divinity that is them. That's the only thing that's stopping any of us from realizing that, is that we just haven't realized it yet. We haven't realized that we are God. And it's the most humbling thing in some strange way, because it's really this letting go of what you thought that you were. And yet it's this gaining of everything. You gain everything by knowing this. Now, I think about dying a lot, and I know that sounds morbid, but I think about it more from the vantage point of, how do I want to live my life today, right now? Knowing that that's something that's inevitable. Knowing that there's going to come a point in my life, and I don't know when that point is going to be, when I look back and I think about the life that I've lived. And at the end of my life, when I think about that, what I want more than anything is to know God, but to know it through everyone else. To be able to unconditionally love, that I can sit back at the end of my life and know that I loved so deeply, so unconditionally, and that was the most important thing. You know, my mother's death taught me this. At the end of her life, what we all realized, my father, my son, my dad, my brother, was that the only thing that mattered was that we loved her. That was it. That was really the only thing. And that we showed her that she knew that we loved her. And it made me realize that that's really all that matters in life. And I know that's distilling life down to a very simple message, but really that's kind of it. That's all that we really need to do, is just love one another so unconditionally, without needing something, not loving to get, not loving because of some manipulation, some agenda that we have, but to love, just to know that this person is me, that this person is God, that they are so holy, no matter what it is that their humanity has led them to do. You know, consciousness is inherently focusing on something all of the time, because that is the nature of consciousness. Awareness is aware of something at all times. So depending on what someone has been consumed by, whether it's their senses or anything that's drawing them in externally, that is taking that consciousness, that beautiful divinity, and pulling it into something so that it is identified and fully absorbed with what it is not, then that's when people do all sorts of unconscious things. So we can't blame people for doing that. They've just fallen asleep. They've just become unaware of what they are. They've just simply forgotten who they are, which is God. So we can help them remember that by loving them unconditionally, because nothing melts another person's heart. And I know that sounds corny, but it's really true. Nothing brings you closer to another human being than loving them. That's what forgiveness is. You know, forgiveness is really letting go. It's letting go of identifying with yourself as this small little person and seeing the divinity in someone else and realizing that that's really what they are. And that's why you can let go of this grievance that you have toward them. You can let go of whatever they've done in their human form that's bothered you in your human form. And as you begin to let go of all of these things that you are not, and you remember that what you are is God and what everyone else is God, then letting go becomes really easy. That's why the work is letting go. The work is always letting go. It's always letting go of our humanness and seeing the divinity in everything. That's the work. And we do that through the channel of love. You do that through your heart. You do that by unconditionally loving. Now, when I talk about unconditionally loving something, what I mean is letting go, again, letting go of judgments. Because again, judgment is what separates us faster than anything. It's always our judgments that create any separation, which creates us to argue, which creates this feeling that this other person is so separate from me that I hate them. I'm angry at them. I'm jealous. I envy them. Whatever the feeling is of separation, and there's a real spectrum of those feelings. But at the end of the day, it's separation. And this is always based in fear. It's rooted in this need to protect our littleness, our smallness, our humanity, our body mind. That's what we're always protecting because that's ego. And ego is always defending itself because it feels so small. It's just in this little tiny body. I mean, think about it. Like when you think about how small I am as a physical being, it's incredibly small in the vast universe, right? So when I think of myself as that, yes, I do feel that I need to protect that. Of course, I would feel like I need to protect that because it's so little. But when we realize that what we are is part of all that is, when we realize that what we are, what lies within us, what is within us, deep in the recesses of our stillness, of that void that we can get into when we meditate, and we realize that what we are is that incredible consciousness, that is everywhere, and that is in everything, then you begin to feel that you are part of all that is, that you cannot be separate from it, that it would be impossible for you to be separate from all that is. And then what happens is that you drop the need to protect yourself. Because what could you possibly need to protect when you know that what's within you is God? You absolutely do not need to protect anything anymore. And all you want to do is share that with everyone. All you want to do is extend that love to everyone around you, to all the God faces that you see every single day, to all the little God animals, and the God table that I'm leaning against, and the God microphone, and the God air that's all around me that I'm grasping right now in my hands. It's everywhere. I promise you, it's everywhere. It's everything. It's what you are. So stop being small. And the way that we can realize this, if we don't realize the divinity that is in us, the backdoor way to doing this is to navigate your life through here, through the portal of your heart, to just allow that love to just beam out to everyone, to the strangers that you run into at the supermarket, to the people that you run into as you're walking to your car or walking to the subway or walking on the street or picking up your child from school. Just start to notice that all of the faces that you see are God, are you, and that you're not separate from it. And really use this date that you have with death to your advantage. Use it every single day. Remember that that is something that you are going to experience. And ask yourself, how do I want to live my life? Do I want to live my life so that I have a life that has zero regret? Because what I did every single day was attempt, to the best of my ability, to love everyone unconditionally, without judgment. That's the kind of life that you're going to want to have lived. Because at the end of that life, you are going to look back and you're going to tell yourself, that was a good life. That was a good life. I love you all so much. I really, really do. Until next time, remember to let go. Let go of trying to be anything other than the truth of what you are.